pot with this simple and fun plant pot cover. It's a versatile plant pot cover which you can use any yarn for. That makes it a great stash buster. Plus you can customize it to fit any plant pot. So whether it's a large one like this or a small one, I've got you covered. Let's get started. So let's have a look at what we're going to be making now. I've got these 2 granny squares that I've made already, and I'm going to be showing you how to make them. And I'm also going to show you how to join them together and make the border so that you have your own granny plant pot cover. So to get started, you're going to need some yarn. Now these ones are made using Yarn and Colours Must Have. And I've got 3 colours. I used bronze, and I used brownie, and I used blue lake. So that is how I made these ones. But first of all, what you're going to do is you're going to need to find a pot. Too big for the screen. So I've got this big pot here that I want to make my plant pot cover for. So you need to decide whether you're going to use a big pot, small pot, medium pot, and that will depend on what yarn you use. If you're using a really large pot, if it's more than about 21 inches circumference, then you're going to want to use a bulky weight yarn like a braided cotton cord, like I did in the one that I showed at the beginning. If your pot's kind of between 14 inches and 20 inches circumference, you can use a light DK weight or a worsted weight, or use a fine weight with 2 strands held together. Or for a smaller one, then you're going to want to be using a fine weight. So for this size, I'm going to be using this fine weight cotton, but I'm going to be using 2 strands held together, which is what I did for these samples here. So once you've got your pot, and you've made a decision about what kind of size yarn you're going to use, then you're going to choose a hook size to match your yarn, but it's going to be 1 mil smaller than the recommended. So for this one, I'm using a 5 mil hook. So for DK, you would use a 3 mil hook. For the, what did I use for the larger size? Sorry, just have a look. For my large one, I used, which was my Bobini cotton cord, I used an 8 mil hook. So grab your yarn and grab your hook. Then what you need to do is you need to measure the circumference of your pot. So that's around it. And make a record of that measurement. Then you're going to make your first granny square, okay, which I'll show you in a second. Once you've made that and blocked it, give it a measure. So mine are 4 3/4 inches, or what's that, 12 centimeters. And then you're going to divide the circumference of your pot by that measurement, that diameter measurement, that width measurement of your granny square. Okay, and whatever number that gets to, round it to the nearest whole number, and this is the number of squares you'll need to make. If your number that you get is close to halfway between the 2 numbers, always round down rather than rounding up. The join adds a little bit, and you don't want the cover to be falling down all the time. So rounding down is always better than rounding up if you're unsure. Obviously it will stretch a little bit as well, so rounding down, even if it's like 0.6 or something, rounding down might be better, but you need to make a judgment call on that one. You also don't want your pot to be shorter than that width as well. So obviously if it's shorter, then your granny square is going to poke off up the top. And we're going to add a border as well, so that's even more important there. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make our first square. You'll also need scissors and a needle to sew in your ends, and possibly stitch markers as well to keep track of where you've got to if you don't like to count. We're going to be working in US terms throughout this tutorial. So if you're unsure of US terms, go look that up before you start. And tension is, well, it differs depending which yarn and which hook you use. So we're going to go on those measurements rather than on the tension. Okay, so we're going to start with our middle colour, which in the pattern that's called yarn A, and I'm going to make a magic ring or magic circle. So to do that, I'm going to wrap the yarn around my fingers and cross it over. Hold on to that cross, and I insert my hook into the loop, grab the yarn and pull it through, okay? And I just hold on to everything while I wrap the yarn around my finger, you know, the normal way that you would create tension. And then you chain one to secure that, okay? If you don't like a magic circle, feel free to do a chain 3 and slip stitch into the chain or similar. But I find a magic circle works quite well. Okay, so next we are going to do a stacked DC. Now, if you've not done that before, it's basically replaces a chain 3. So you can just do chain 3 instead. Obviously, we've got one chain already. Or you can do a stacked DC. So to do that, you insert your hook into the ring, grab the yarn, pull it through. So you've got 2 loops on your hook now. And yarn over and pull through 2. So that's like a single crochet. Then we're going to work into this side loop here. So we're going to go in there with our hook, grab the yarn and pull through, and then we're going to grab the yarn and pull through 2, or yarn over and pull through 2. So you created like a double crochet here, but it's made of 2 stacked single crochets together, okay? And that replaces a double crochet. Next we're going to do 11 more double crochets into our ring, and that is going to make 12 in total. So you can see here I'm using my yarn held double. You don't have to do that. It's only if you've decided that that is what works for your granny square. Okay, so just carry on doing your 12 double crochets into that magic ring now. So that is my 11 DC and my stacked DC. And now we're going to close that hole like so. Okay, and we're going to join that together with an invisible join. Okay, so I will show you how to do that. You need to cut your yarn, and then we're going to pull through that last stitch. Okay, and we're going to thread our needle with our yarn, which I might have to do one end at a time, I think, to get it to go through. That's one. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Right. So we're going to go into that stitch, that first stitch. So we just need to make sure that we do go into that stitch. So I'm going to count them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's this one. So we're going to go with our hook, and we're going to go around that first stitch. So we don't want to create an extra stitch. We still want to have 12 loops at the end. So we're just kind of going over the top of that first stitch. You can see already that it barely looks recognizable as anything. Okay, so you've gone through those 2 loops there, which are the under the bar like you would normally work. And then we're going to go down the hole in the middle of that last stitch where we came out like that. And just push it through on the back. Pull it through, and then just be careful when you're pulling it through that you arrange it so it sits on the top, and so it's the same, the loop is the same size as your first stitch. Okay, and then you'll see we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 stitches around, and you cannot tell where the start was at all. Okay, and then you can just go ahead and weave that end in nicely like that. I like to go back on myself. You can weave in your other end as well, which was your starting end, which is quite handy to do at this point because it's the magic ring, and it can come undone if you don't weave it in quite securely. Okay, and then we'll move on to round 2. So round 2, as you remember, is with this blue colour. This is our colour B if you're using the pattern, which I hope you will, and that is this one. So we're going to join our yarn B into the back loop of any stitch. Okay, so just go through that back loop and pull through, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a stacked treble into this back loop. Okay, so we'll just chain 1 to secure the yarn, then we insert our hook into that back loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, then we go into the side, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and then we go into the side of the next stitch we just created, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, and that has created a stacked treble. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to do a 2 treble cluster in the back loop of the same stitch. Now these 2 together will create a 3 treble cluster, which is what we're going to use for the rest of the pattern. Okay, so we yarn over 2 times, insert our hook into that back loop, yarn over and pull through, we yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Before we do fasten off this stitch now, we're going to do the rest of the cluster. So we yarn over twice again, insert into that hook, into that stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, so now you're left with 3 loops on your hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all of them, and that creates that petal shape that you can see here. Okay, and we're going to continue that around, but this time we're going to be doing 3 treble clusters instead. So first of all we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to do a 3 treble cluster. Okay, so into the next back loop we're going to yarn over twice, going to insert our hook into that back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then we stop, then we yarn over 2 times, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then we unravel our yarn, which has got all tangled up with the scissors. Apologies for this. Okay, so we've got our 2 created now, haven't we? But we need 1 more. So we yarn over twice again, set into the back loop again, yarn over, pull through a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You've now got 4 loops on your hook, and to complete the stitch we yarn over and we pull through all 4, and there you have your next petal, and then we chain 2 again, and we're just going to continue like that all the way around. Okay, so yarn over twice, insert into the next back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, then sorry, this is a pain, because I'm using it double from the same ball. So then we yarn over twice, insert into the back loop, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Then you've got 3 loops on your hook. Then we go again, yarn over twice, insert into the loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you've got 4 loops left, so you yarn over and pull through all of them. Okay, so I think now you can carry on and repeat that all the way around. So remember to do a chain 2 between each stitch as well. Okay, and I'll see you when you get back to the beginning. Okay, so I've got to the end now. I've got a 3 treble cluster into each of my back loops. So I'll just do my final chain 2, and then we are going to join with a slip stitch into the top of the first cluster. Now just be careful because you've got your stacked treble crochet here. Actually, if we just go into the top of the cluster, then it makes it even more like a cluster than before. Okay, and then we can fasten off that. Just cut that yarn there and pull that through, and we can weave that in later. Okay, or you can weave it in now if you prefer. And then we're going to move on to our round 3, and this is with yarn C or the brown or whichever yarn you're using. If you're using the pattern, it will be called yarn C. So I'm just getting my 2 strands together as before, and we're going to join our yarn into any chain 2 space. Okay, so that's the spaces between the flower petals, the 3 treble clusters. Okay, so I'm just going to join that in now with a chain to secure it. Then we're going to do a stacked double crochet this time. So into the space, grab the yarn and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2 to create our single crochet. Then we go into that side stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And that is our stacked double crochet there. And then we are going to do 2 more double crochets into that same space. Okay, then we're going to do 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. If I can manage to do that. 2. This is where we had the join. Just going to crochet over the top of that. That's why I didn't do an invisible join, because you can't see it. And then in the next chain 2 space, we're going to do 3 trebles. So that's 2 yarns overs. And then we pull through 3 times. It's just the same as doing a double crochet, apart from you yarn over twice really to start with. Just keep going and yarning over and pull through 2 until you've got no loops left, or 1 loop left, I guess. And that's 3 trebles, then we chain 2, and then we do 3 more trebles into that same space. Okay, that's 2, and a last one still into that same space, and that's going to create our corner of our square. Okay, and then we're just going to continue that pattern around. So we're doing 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space, and then 3 double crochets in the next one, and then we'll reach the next corner, and in the next corner we're going to do the same 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles, and continue that around, making 3 double crochets into 2 chain 2 spaces, and then a 3 trebles, chain 2, 3 trebles into the corner spaces. And I've just got to my last corner now, so I'm just doing my last treble into that final corner, and then we are going to, you can either join with a slip stitch here, or you can join with an invisible join. It's really up to you. It will mostly be hidden by the border, but it's up to you. Okay, so fasten that off, finish that off, weave in all of your ends, and then block that to size. Okay, so obviously if this is just your first one that you're making, you're now going to do your measurements and you're going to work out how many more squares you're going to need to make. And then what we're going to do is we're going to join our squares together. So I will stop fiddling with this. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with 2 squares. You're going to put them facing each other like this, and you're just going to join your seams together however you like. I used a whip stitch for this, and I used it going through the front loops of each one, and that means that they sit quite flat and open like this. If you're worried that you're going to have a bit too loose of a plant pot holder, then go through both loops, or you can do a crocheted seam, or you can do a mattress seam, however you like to do it. Anyhow, join them together. I will show you how I did it, obviously using the same brown same color yarn that you were using before. Just cut a length and thread your needle. My needle's over here, with your ends. You could just use a single layer of yarn here if you were working double, but double feels like it gives a bit more security. Oh dear, that is not pulling through correctly at all. What a nightmare that yarn's done. Let's try that again. We're going to have to try it down here. Sorry about this. I got it now? Yep, I've got it. Okay. So, holding your pieces together, you're going to go into one of your chains and the other chain on the other side. So remember we did a chain 2, but we just want to join with the chain that's nearest the top. The bottom ones will stay open, okay? And then you're just going to go over the top and keep going in the same direction. Oops. So you come back here, you're always working away from yourself, and you're going into this loop that's nearest me and this loop that's furthest away from me, so the 2 outside loops as it were, and just keep working like that across. Don't put it too tight, otherwise it will pucker your work, and you'll be able to see how that makes a lovely join. I really like how that looks with the line, but if you don't like it, do it a different way. So once you've joined them together, you're going to want to do the same with your next square. So join that on however many squares you've got. Always join them on the wrong side, and then once they're all joined together and they've all been blocked, you can join the final two into a circle so that you make a ring which will fit around your pot. Make sure you check at this point that it does fit over your plant pot. If it doesn't, you'll either need to add another granny square in, or you will need to take one out. So for the border, I'm joining my yarn into any of the stitches along the top edge. I'm going through both loops, just so you know. And then we're going to just do a single crochet into each stitch. Okay, so as you go along, just make a single crochet stitch. So you can see I'm using my yarn A, which was my first colour I used. You can use any colour you like. I think this makes a nice contrast, but obviously it's completely up to you. Okay, and when you get to the joins, the seams, we're going to do a half double crochet into the chain 2 spaces and the seam between the squares. Okay, so we do a half double crochet into here, a half double crochet into the seam. Oops. Try and get both edges, otherwise you'll pull it apart. I think my seam is not very tight. And a half double crochet into the next chain 2 space. Okay, and then just carry on with your single crochets into each of the stitches. So that will even out the joins, and just carry that on all the way around your the top edge of your plant holder until you get back to the beginning. Okay, so I've gone all the way around now, and once you have, then you will slip stitch into that first stitch to join, and then we're going to do a second round, and for this round we're going to do a chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet but into the back loop only. Okay, and that creates a really nice textured pattern. Okay, so we just single crochet in every stitch in the back loop only, all the way around. No half double crochets this round. Okay, just like that. And then you can repeat exactly the same 2 rounds on the bottom edge of your plant pot holder if you wish. If your plant pot is quite shallow, not very tall, then you can leave the bottom if you want, but that is entirely up to you. And when you get back round to the end or the beginning again of round 2, you can fasten off and join with an invisible join or a slip stitch if you prefer. And that is really it. So I've just done top border on this one rather than a bottom border, and I'm just going to try it onto my plant pot and see what it looks like. Now just weave that end in. Oops. Okay, there it is. So put the seam at the back because it looks better like that. Let's grab the pot, zoom out a little bit so you can see what's going on. So as I said, my plant pot is a bit shallow, not too tall, so I haven't done my bottom border, but I think you'll agree that it looks pretty lovely like that. What do you reckon? Super cute, right? So you can add the bottom border as well, which does look nice, as you saw on the earlier pattern, but on this one, not so much. Looks nice like that. It would look nice with the bottom border as well, actually, I think. Anyway, let's put you back around the right way around. Sorry about that. I don't know why I twisted it that way. What do you reckon? Cute, right? You can see all my junk on the desk now as well. So there you have it. a plant pot holder, customisable to size, perfect stash buster, and really good fun to make too. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon for another tutorial crochet pattern from me, Concrete Gems Crochet. Bye for now.